Thank you so much. I'm going to move out here a little bit so I can see these guys. You're not here to listen to me, but to these excellent people up here. But I'm going to start with a very quick note of the fact that we are 4 men in suits sitting here, and we're well aware of the fact that we're 4 men in suits, and that we understand that diversity is a challenge everywhere in the startup world, in the university world, not just here, but all around the world. So we know that. We're not going to talk about that today, but we're well aware of that. So we're going to jump into the topic at hand, which is going to be about technology transfer and the role of these different institutions in terms of how we help science-founded entrepreneurs and deep tech entrepreneurs succeed. And that's really, I think, a really interesting topic that I'm looking forward to a lot. But I think, first of all, each of you represent these liaison entities, entidades de enlace, and I think we'd love to hear just a very brief introduction about what you do with those entities and what the impact is in the ecosystem here in Madrid. So maybe Virgilio, we'll start with you, okay, and we'll move on from there.
Thank you, Torsten. Thank you very much for the introduction. Here in the co-funding entidades de enlace we have at the Universidad Carlos III de Madrid, we are very much in favor of dynamization of the local entrepreneurs, and also in the connection of those local entrepreneurs and companies around the technological park, whose name is Legatec, at the south of Madrid, in the connection of those companies with the research and innovation that is produced by the university, Universidad Carlos III de Madrid. That's one of our main tasks. Around that task, what we are doing is very many things. We help the companies, we mentor companies to define their needs in terms of whatever, talent, funds, in terms of marketing. Sometimes even we provide some visible actions for the companies in order to get attracted by other people or entities who can help their projects. That's, in summary, what we do.
That sounds like a big challenge.
Yeah.
I think I'll come back to it in a moment. But let's go ahead, Alvaro. Tell us what your entity is doing.
Yes, thank you very much. I am here representing MIDE. MIDE is Madrid Innovation Driven Ecosystem. It's a non-for-profit association that is using methodology developed by the MIT. After having analyzed hundreds of ecosystems, what they identified is that the big opportunity for an ecosystem to be vibrant and relevant is to connect the different stakeholders. So we are using this model, and we have startups, corporates, investors, facilitators, academia, and the administration within our stakeholders. And based on this, what we do is we connect the different elements of this ecosystem to make sure that we really reach our purpose, that is to bring Madrid to the next stage, to leapfrog the opportunities and to make Madrid a hub of reference in entrepreneurship and innovation.
Fantastic. Thank you. Jorge.
Jorge, thank you. I come from the University Autónoma of Madrid, one of the public universities of Madrid, and I'm talking about how to innovate with entrepreneurship, obviously, for this event. What we have in the universities is a big responsibility, because we got 3,000 researchers. 3,000 researchers doing their stuff, great stuff, but most of the time can go to the society. Huh? And the challenge we have is to help them to connect with companies, with funds, and this is what the Entidades de Enlace is doing. It's helping us to create an ecosystem of all the elements that we need for make happen that researchers create their own startup, science-based startup. So that's the challenge of what we are doing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a spot on. But you also have about 30,000 students. So
Yes.
let's maybe start there
Okay,
with the
that's
students.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
how do you get them engaged in entrepreneurship? And
That's another challenge a specific challenge for the university. Perhaps it's not so impact because obviously what they got is less differential than what the scientists have. But we have the other responsibility of making out of these guys entrepreneurs. They are looking for a job for the next years. They all want to have a nice position, stable, blah, blah, blah. And what we have to do is to change their mind as well. Huh? Then in the universities, in all enough, in ours, we've been more than 1,000 students have passed through training programs in the last 3 years. And this is what we want to do, change their mind of the whole university students so they generate the next startups.
But I think, I mean, if you walk around here at the venue, you see so many young startups and founders that are building things. I think there's probably also a question about how much is this the role of the university versus how much should you just let them do what they want to? Are you very actively promoting this, or are you sort of saying, well, if you want to start a startup, we'll help you?
We are more the second way. Yeah? Obviously, we are basically establishing training programs, mentoring programs, co-working spaces, all this stuff. But still is not in the curricula of the students, so to say. I would love that every single student pass through our training programs, mandatory, and even create some subjects in the semester. That's what the university has to promote, and we are on our way.
I think that's a good way to
But
put
it's
it.
an excellent, by the way, it's an excellent place to start the startup because you have the time, still you don't have to pay bills, so
I agree.
it's where they should start.
I started my first company while studying, and I think the safety net you have, well, you don't have to worry about, society doesn't judge you about whether you fail or not, and you don't need the income the same way. I think you learn a lot by doing that in university. And so maybe we can come back to that, but I think, Alvaro, I have a couple of questions that I particularly am interested in your opinion about, which is there's, of course, outside the universities, there's also the role of the city and the region and the government. And I wonder if you have some thoughts about how much should the government be pushing the ecosystem? Because that's a little bit of what's happening here, right? Does the government have a very active role, or does the government really instead just support what other people are doing?
I will be very cautious with this response. We have the government here. But anyway.
Please no one tweet.
What I can see in Madrid is a huge change over the last years.
Yeah.
So I remember 6-7 years ago when I started with an open innovation program at Pascual, and I talked to some people from the government, and some of them were saying, you're crazy. Some others were really willing to support it. At a local level, with the government of Madrid, what I see is there's a huge change, and now this is a priority. So we've been hearing about Madrid Startup Region. So there's the commitment and the willingness for things to happen. But this cannot be done and led only by the administration. All the rest of the stakeholders need to play in the same game and in the same direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, it's very different, you know, in Madrid and in Europe from how things are in the US, where I have spent the past 10 years, where the government here is so much more active. Whereas in the US, we look at the government saying, please stay away and let, you know, entrepreneurs and investors lead the charge. But I think Europe is collaborative. And if you do that really well, I think that can work out in really good ways.
The role of the role of the government has to be let things flow,
Yeah.
at least, okay. But don't add any extra barriers, because starting a new business is very hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
please make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
But if we get the government, as like it's happening in Madrid, to support entrepreneurship and innovation, that's really a huge change, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know you all have, you know, international experience outside of your experience here in Madrid, but I think, Virgilio, you have lived both elsewhere in Europe and in the US. You know, if you look at the region of Madrid and think about what is it that is the opportunity here compared to many other places? Like what are the things you would focus on if you were to advise everybody else in the room from the outside perspective?
Yeah. On that, Torsten, I would say that Madrid has a global approach to everything, to many of the problems. Madrid is an open region that offers a lot of opportunities for the people who wants to run anything, and you have very many good connections to help you in your project. Maybe in other cities, as you have mentioned, you have that also that help, but it's not so visible as it is in Madrid. Taking the message that Alvaro has said, in the last years, what we have seen in Madrid is that there is consciousness on promoting entrepreneurs and helping startups, because we know that the more innovative companies we have, the more high-value employment we will be able to deliver to the society what we have. So that's something that we can have here in Madrid and promote here in Madrid. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I think this is sort of a very nice intro to the final topic at hand here, which is how do we improve things? What is it that we can do, each of you in the entities you're in, but also as a region as a whole? And I think, Alvaro, I want to start with you. I know you have a lot of opinions about this matter.
Yes, we've done a very in-depth analysis and diagnostic of what is the situation in Madrid, and we found out that we have all the goodness in this region. So we are the headquarters of the large corporations, we have great infrastructures, great communication with all the Latin America with the same culture and language. It's a great place to live in. So all the good elements. What is really missing is the connection between the different stakeholders. So a startup needs a corporate many times to start living and getting some breath and to start growing. Then investors to grow the business. We need academia to generate new and bring new innovation and new entrepreneurs, and we need the government. So we still have many isolated initiatives, very interesting, very powerful, but we need to connect them and start working together. So I'm very clear with this, and the Comunidad de Madrid with these entidades de enlace is doing very well because they are already starting to connect people that are really willing to bring Madrid to the next level.
And I think, Jorge, I want to just follow up on that with you because, I heard the Minister of Science of Denmark at a startup event 2 weeks ago in Copenhagen say to all the founders that are there saying, stop building simple pizza delivery startups. You have to start doing deep tech. You have to start doing things that come out of the universities and are actually going to make a difference for climate change and for many of the other big problems we have. It's unusual for government to be that pushy. I think, are the entrepreneurs not doing their part either? Do you see that problem?
Interesting point, yes. I think government is starting pushing. Now in Madrid, in the council in this case, they've created like a fund with investment funds that willing to invest in startups. But stop, not in deep science startups. No? So that's the challenge now. I mean, we have here in Spain a lot of investors, business angels, but most of them devoted to the mass market, to the IT technology, to transform the business, which is great. No? But no one has, well, very little of you have focused on the deep science. I mean, I would like to bring examples like Beyond Tech, the 30,000 million euros deep science startup. I mean, why we can do something here, but our investors, probably they are still not used to invest in this sector, which is different. It requires more time, more money. That's what I would ask the funds, and I think the government and the funds at the same time, to focus on this area and book some of 5%, 10% of their investment portfolio in deep science startups, because in the end, that's differential, and that will will grow. And as well, I think we need to bring the corporates as well. The corporates, they have open innovation departments, yes, but as well, they want always the product to be ready for yesterday, and that can be. I mean, and I understand the innovation departments, they have targets, short-term targets, they have to, but I mean, again, they need to book resources and money for integrating the researchers' results into the business. And yes, the governments are doing things, and promoting internships, money, but we need to keep pushing. No?
And I think we have only a few minutes left, so I think this last question I want to actually open for any of you, which is about when you think about the deep tech and research-based startups and the process of technology transfer. What is your opinion, either of you, on where the biggest problem is? Is it on getting them out of the lab? Is it on supporting them? Is it on funding them? Is it the sort of framework conditions? Is it the culture? I mean, what is the biggest problem we have today?
I've got one, but I mean, it's very related with the university and the scientists as well. They probably need commercial partners, I would say.
Commercial partners.
I mean, if we have the good technical department, the best one probably, with the scientists, they need a business developer. And this is missing, and I'm positive the government is thinking about that, but we need to create a matching between scientists and entrepreneurs, and then this may work better. Compost.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
We have seen the train of 5G communication passing by, so we cannot leave any other trains leave the station. So, and we need to build on our competitive advantages rather than rather than competition. We need to collaborate and cooperate. Yeah. So the point here is about, again, connecting the dots and making sure that we are investing over a longer-term strategy. So we need to stop thinking about tomorrow, and as corporates, we've always been pushing for the short-term results. We need to have a longer-term vision, and there, as I've seen with many projects that I've reviewed over the last years, there are many projects that are from engineers, made by engineers, and only with engineers in the team. So there needs to be a cross-fertilization and collaboration with others.
Yeah, so I hear you also say the corporate side also has an opportunity, I would call it, and I think that's also a very good point. I think I would love to continue this conversation because I know you guys have a lot more to say, but we are out of time. So Virgilio, Alvaro, Jorge, thank you so much for taking your time. Hopefully this was interesting. We're going to leave and let our stage hosts come back. So thank you guys.
Thank you.